Good evening, everybody. I would like to call this meeting of the Clay County Commission to order. We will begin this evening, as we always do, with an invocation. This evening, we have Mark Willis with us to lead us in some thoughts. If you would all please rise.
You join me in a moment of blessing. Wise and loving one, we gather today as community to conduct the business of this county. We ask for a spirit of unity and the wisdom to govern fairly amid the many issues and interests of our time. Grant these commissioners the vision and courage to make decisions that serve the common good and strengthen the bonds of our neighborhoods. May the work done here today be characterized by patience, integrity, and a deep commitment to all of our citizens. Amen.
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Nolte?
Here.
Commissioner Withington? Commissioner Lawson?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Here.
Next is approval of the agenda. Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion has been made for the approval of this evening's agenda. Discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda are public comments. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the commission on any issues that are important to them? Seeing none. Next are discussion items. Mr. Administrator, if you'd like to introduce our discussion item, we will proceed.
Sure. Good evening. We have a discussion item this evening is from our Home Builders Association of Greater Kansas City. We have Ms. Jordan Webster. We're presenting on a subject of Let Builders Build.
By the way, for those speaking this evening, when you come up to the podium to speak, please make sure you push the green button so the microphone is on. Identify yourself for the audio recordings, and then proceed with addressing the commission.
All right. Mr. Commissioner and the board, thank you so much for having me today. As Damon said, my name is Jordan Webster. I'm the Director of Community Relations for the Home Builders Association of Greater Kansas City. We're an association that's the proud voice of the local housing industry here in Kansas City. We're made up of over 600 member companies. We support 20,000 jobs, and we contribute more than $1.8 billion in short and long-term economic growth here in the region. And so today I kind of want to talk about the barriers to housing that we've seen over the past few years in the metro and the campaign that we've created to hopefully alleviate some of those barriers. So we're going to start with housing is one of the most important issues facing our region today. It affects families trying to buy their first home, businesses trying to recruit talent, and communities trying to grow responsibly. The HBA has launched the Let Builders Build campaign, and I would like to just take a few moments to say what it means for the future of housing across the Kansas City metropolitan area. As most of you probably know, Kansas City is at a real tipping point when it comes to housing. The demand for housing is strong and the supply is not. Families are finding fewer options and higher prices when they start looking for a home. And at the same time, we have over 250 builders in the region who want to bring new housing to the market, but are facing extreme regulatory barriers, higher fees, and longer timelines before a home can even begin construction. And this result has been fewer homes for families who need them. So I threw in some permit data. So we compile permit data from 69 different jurisdictions within the metro area. Just a caveat, some of those jurisdictions classify single-family construction as just one dwelling. Some classify it as 2, 3, 4, and so on. But according to our data that we collect, and we consider single-family permit data as 4 units and under, in 2025, we pulled 4,388 single-family units, and we have a shortage as of December of 2025 at 64,000 units. So just think on that. One unique challenge that we have in our region as well is that we are, Kansas and Missouri are both home rule states, so we're extremely fragmented. We have 69 jurisdictions, and that means 69 different rule books. That's 69 different building codes, 69 different approval timelines and city processes, 69 different schedules of fees, and 69 different development standards. There was a time when cities across the region worked collaboratively to create collaborative development policy, but that regional consistency has been breaking down year after year, and the lack of predictability makes it harder to efficiently deliver housing. An example, which I know a lot of people probably in this room have heard about, back in 2022, the city of Kansas City passed an unamended 2021 International Energy Conservation Code. Builders and industry experts were heavily involved throughout the process. We had meetings with council members, public testimony, and detailed input about the cost impacts of this code. Ultimately, the city moved forward with an unamended code, bypassing all of our feedback, partially influenced by federal incentives, and the result of that was a 73% decrease in single-family permits the following year. And then in 2025, the city of Kansas City is still over 40% lower than the rest of the metro. Another challenge we face is the perception of builders and developers and the construction community. We are the bad guys in housing conversations. There's a stereotype about profit, and we don't care about the environment, community concerns, etc. In some cases, the expertise of the building industry has been dismissed in policy discussions. The HBA recognizes that we need to change the perception and reframe the conversation. We're not the obstacle, we are the solution. There are people who actually we are actually the people who deliver these homes to the communities. Here comes the Let Builders Build campaign. So in order to change this conversation, we decided in the board of directors that we needed to change the narrative. With that, we hired a polling company to poll data in the local region. And there were 824 test subjects throughout the metro, and overwhelmingly, housing affordability is the #1 concern. I believe it was 64% voted that was the top concern. Local builders are the trusted voices of the industry, and their confidence in elected officials on housing policy is low, present company excluded. And so that told us that what we said was actually important. And so therefore, let's do this, Let Builders Build was created. We retained Sinclair Agency, a PR agency in Charlotte, North Carolina, experience in public engagement campaigns to create and execute a campaign built around the Let Builders Build theme from the National Association of Home Builders. We identified some campaign objectives based on our research. First, positioning the building industry as the credible leaders on housing affordability and growth. Second, drawing a direct line between excessive regulations and rising home costs. Third, engaging voters with clear and research-backed messaging that helps them understand the real causes of the housing shortage, and building public awareness that encourages policy changes that remove barriers to home construction. In order to do that, we identified, as you guys can see, some different campaign resources and tactics that we use throughout the Let Builders Build campaign process. Commercials, billboards, we have a landing page, which I believe everybody should have a QR code to that in your guys' packets, paid digital advertising, newspapers, social media, etc. Our overall reach for the Let Builders campaign, as you can see, 629 million in total reach, 5 million in total mentions, and 11,900 landing page visits. The results were significant, but awareness has never been the ultimate goal of this. The real goal was changing the conversations around housing. One clear example of the impact so far of the Let Builders Build campaign is that local leaders and local legislators, politicians, state leaders have all taken an interest in this campaign and have decided to take action. The Platte County Commission back in January passed a resolution in support of Let Builders Build. This resolution acknowledged the barriers created by excessive regulation and recognized the importance of expanding the housing supply. It has also committed the county to supporting policies that allow efficient and cost-effective home building. A few weeks ago, Kansas City, Missouri approved important amendments to the 2021 International Energy Code to roll back some of the stringent energy policy. Additionally, several cities across the region have also adopted the 2024 codes with significant amendments recommended by the building community that support the growth of housing. Additionally, we have met with 12 municipalities that we have not had a relationship with up until now, as well as continuous conversations about permitting timelines, development standards, and ways to encourage housing production in their communities that they may have not thought of before. These discussions would not have happened without the Let Builders Build campaign. The Let Builders Builder campaign is restoring just a simple idea that builders are not the problem, we are part of the solution. When communities work collaboratively with the building industry, more homes get built and housing becomes more attainable, and more families can achieve the dream of home ownership, and that benefits Clay County and Kansas City metropolitan area as a whole. That is my presentation. I am open for questions.
Thank you. Yes, before we go to the other commissioners, I just want to say that I think that the action of the City Council of Kansas City is certainly a step in the right direction. When I was in the legislature, I was the co-chair of the Interim Joint Committee on the Missouri Energy Futures, and this some of these issues came before us, including the international codes that you referred to. There was a lot of concern exactly where that might lead us as far as affordability for homes. And I think that's, to me, one of the key issues is making sure that we have homes that people can actually afford to live in. Certainly you can't, as you point out, you can't ignore, many of the other considerations, but I think this is an effort to kind of find a good balance, if I'm understanding this correctly, to make sure that we do see the ability for people, regular middle-class people, to be able to afford a home. I hate to say it, but I would like to not think that people of my age group are the last generation to really have broad access to single-family homes. I think that's something that is ingrained, I would think, in our American psyche, and I think that's something that we need to protect as we go along. I was going to ask you also what. So you've been able to talk to the folks over in Platte County, and they passed the resolution.
Yes.
And that was back in January, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. And the hope is that depending on the disposition of the commission, I would like to see us bring this up at some future meeting once we've gotten information from you to where we can take up this particular ordinance or resolution, and perhaps approve it. But tonight is the part where we sort of do our research and do our homework on that.
Absolutely.
So with that, Commissioner Lawson.
So thank you very much for coming. Great information. And I think, as Commissioner said, everybody wants to have a home. That's what you dream about. When you first get married, you live in your apartment, and all you can think about is, when I buy a home. And when so many years ago, Commissioner Johnson pointed out I'm old. Yes, he did. He said it. But here's the thing. Back then, you could buy a home reasonably. The first house we bought was a house on acreage, and it was dirt cheap. When we sold it about 5-7 years later, we made a fortune on that. We could go off and buy a big piece of property and a barn and, you know, all the things I wanted just off the profit of that house. I don't see that happening as easily today. But I will tell you this. Here in Clay County, we spent a heck of a lot of money doing a comprehensive study. That comprehensive study, along with it, were huge numbers of meetings that our planning and zoning people went out and did. And they got the feedback from the residents of Clay County unincorporated area. And in that study, we came up with a great plan to allow building, and now how the cost is built. You know, the cost of the build, that's up to the builder, you know, and they're in it to make money. And the stuff they have to buy nowadays, way higher than it was 5 years ago. So all that plays into it, and I get that. The thing that I would fight tooth and toenail against is that after we did that comprehensive study, one of the main things was that we'd like to keep Clay County balanced. We want to have the residential close to town, but people move out in the country so that they can have their space. You know, they can have their animals, they can enjoy the quiet. And after we got that comprehensive plan done and did all those meetings, after it was all said and done, here comes the builders to our meeting complaining that we, you know, didn't give them a chance, and we are holding down their ability to expand, you know, areas and all that. So we made a little bit of a change. But what happens in Clay County is that we're going to live by that comprehensive plan if I have my way. We're going to keep Clay County with a nice balance of town and country. I don't want to ever see that lost. So while, you know, we can say, we can have some kind of a document that says we want fair pricing, you know, we want everything to be on an even keel, but the bottom line is you've got to get all those builders to go along with you. I think that's the beginning point. If you can't get them to look at maybe not marking up the pricing quite so much. And I think our planning and zoning is fairly easy to deal with, or those individuals who have dealt with them have always come back and said to me, wow, those guys are great. They really try to work with you and help you. So we never want to lose that, but we're also not going to mess up that comprehensive plan. Absolutely. So what we can do in our unincorporated areas is great. You've got to worry about dealing with Smithville and Kearney and, you know, every other little town up here. That would be a nightmare. Absolutely. So I wish you the best, and thank you for coming, and absolutely, we're going to keep Clay County, Clay County.
If I may, as an association, you know, we've always been extremely supportive of the comprehensive plan process in the different municipalities and the counties in the metro. And we are always super involved in those conversations. And we have builders and developers and associate members, engineers that are always involved in those conversations too. So I think a big goal of this campaign is just the collaboration with the communities and a seat at the table when those conversations are happening. Because that doesn't always happen, and that consistency is not there. So that's kind of the support and kind of the key goal of this campaign is just, obviously there is policy that hurts housing, but most of all, this is just making sure that our local leaders and our local legislators are giving the construction community a seat at the table when housing is being discussed.
By the way, just a point of correction, I was the self-described old guy, not a mere sprig of a youth like Commissioner Johnson here, to be mistaken. He is younger than myself. We'll just put it that way, and I'll let that one go. But just point of correction to come to his aid. Commissioner Wagner, you were seeking recognition.
Yes, thank you. I guess I should start to say that I must be the middle-aged guy, just to have my proper cadence here. And I'll also say that many of the issues that you've brought up here, Jordan, are not alien to me. I was on the City Council of Kansas City from 2011 to 2019. I was on all of its housing committees, and I'm pretty sure with at least a handful of people in this room, I was both a great ally and a pain in the butt. And I'll probably be the same tonight. So I say that knowing that the issues that you pointed out to Kansas City are not without some truth to them, for sure. And I will also add that after I was at the city, I was part of a nonprofit organization that actually built a house, and I got the opportunity to do that, and dealt with a lot of issues related to that. And I now work for an organization that is actually knee-deep in helping people, individuals, who have problems paying for their utilities to help them weatherize. So I've got some good things to say, and I've got some real questions. So my questions, why don't we just go with that? First, I'm aware of the discussion that occurred with Kansas City, as you referenced a few years ago. Obviously, I was gone from the council by that time. But when you say stringent energy policy, what does that mean?
So they passed an unamended energy code, which added anywhere, I would say, there's numbers from 10,000 to 30,000 just based on the house. And there was just as far additional requirements such as 2x4 to 2x6s, continuing insulation in the attic and the thermal envelope. You have to have an additional overlay, which means EV-ready conduit, solar-ready roofing, etc. And with that, an unlimited code, there's the performance path, which a HERS rating, which basically means you can build the house. Instead of going the prescriptive route, you can build the house kind of however the builder chooses. It just has to hit a certain energy rating. And so with an unamended 2021 code, that energy rating is a 52. The average energy rating in the metro is a 70. So it's just a stark difference from other municipalities in the metro, and it is a significant cost to the builder and then on to the homeowner.
Okay. Well, I'll say I did all that because I built that. I'll get to that in a moment. The next question is, how do you define affordability?
It's the ultimate question.
If you don't know what definitions you're starting with, it's really hard to have a conversation. So what does that mean?
I would say affordability is anybody where 30% of their income or more is going to their cost of living, and their rent or their utilities, their mortgage, etc. The average median home price in Kansas City, Missouri is $450,000. I can't afford that. I know a lot of people who can't afford that. Every $1,000, 897 people are priced out of the market in Kansas City Metro alone. So I would say I could probably point out a dozen builders in the metro that can build a house $350,000 and under. And one of those builders who does it specifically in Clay and Platte County, he put it up on his website. He had to take it down 2 days later because of the amount of homes requested.
So I'll get to that one in a moment. Final question, and then I'll have a couple comments, is what is considered a starter home?
Well, I would say 300 to 320,000 by the metro standards.
Okay.
3-bedroom, 2-bath, slab on grade house is, I would say, what we define as a starter home in the metro.
Okay. What if I told you that I built one of those for about $135,000?
I would love to know how you did that.
It's already sold. And in fact, what I would tell you is that when we built that home, it had to be sold to someone making 80% of AMI or below, and average median income. And they had to prove that they actually made that. And so what I'm trying to gather is, or reconcile in my mind, is when we talk about affordability, the question becomes affordability to whom? And when I look at a Zillow, for example, which, I will grant you, not the most scientific of things, grant you that. But if I'm John Q. Public and I go to Zillow and I look for a newly built home in the Northland, I do not find that $350,000 home. I find a $450,000 home, a $500,000 home, a $600,000 home. And the sheets are here to prove it. So I am trying to reconcile the issue of affordability with those who, in my past experience and current experience, cannot afford those homes at all, yet they are looking for houses. And what I am trying to understand, because I do agree with almost everything that you've got, because those homes are not being built fast enough. You're going through a ton of processes. It takes too long, and that costs money, and I understand all that, especially if you're trying to get your other subs to come in there to run wiring, run everything, right? I get that. But if at the end of the day, the people who have the need for the affordability the most cannot even come close to paying for a home that is being built in Clay County, then I don't understand. I don't get that. And so, to me, affordability comes in three components, because this is how we looked at the house that we built. And I'm sorry you're saying, I don't want to, I'm hopefully I'm not mean when I'm saying this. I get worried about it. I'm going to get intense probably in a moment, so I apologize for that. But you're used to it, right? So anyway, for us, affordability came in three forms. One was, how much does the house cost? What's the mortgage look like on it? Two, what are you paying in taxes over time? And this body has certainly taken an interest in what you're paying in taxes over time. And then the third one is, what does it take to operate? And so when we built that house, it was so that someone knew they were not going to pay as much in heating and cooling for that house. But it was also a small footprint. It was a 1,200 square foot house. It is not 2,800, 3,000. It is a true starter home in every sense of the word for the single mom and her child who moved into it. And so when you add that $10,000 to $30,000, which is the numbers I heard back at that time, and yes, that adds to the cost of the house, and yes, that means your mortgage may go up, and on a 6% mortgage, you're maybe paying another $200 every month, but you're saving that same $200 every month on your utilities. And if you have mortgages that are now at the 5s or the 4s, or if we get back to what we were just a few years ago, you're actually making money because you're saving on your utilities more than what you're paying on the extra mortgage. And so that's where I get a little antsy when I hear about stringent energy policies, because if it's done right, the person who actually benefits is the person who's buying the house or renting the property or whatever the case may be. And so for me, and this will be the last part of my comment, is just simply that is an area where I believe, while I understand the upfront expense, there is a long-term benefit for everyone. And if we truly are looking for affordable housing for the 64,000 people that you mentioned, and I've heard that number for many years, many times. It is not 64,000 units at $500,000 to $600,000 a pop. It is 64,000 units for those who make far less and will never afford that house. That is of interest to me to facilitate, because that is what this city needs. And not just Clay County, but this region needs in the worst way. And so I know it's discussion, so I know we're not voting on anything this evening. And I appreciate again, humoring my diatribes, as everyone here often does. But for me to get excited about letting builders build, I want them to build something that anyone in Clay County can afford. And if you're cool with that, I'm on board.
We're cool with that.
And then maybe we can figure out what that language needs to be. And not that it's me or nothing, but that's what's important to me, because I know it's important to a lot of folks. And I appreciate you standing there and taking that.
Absolutely.
Derek Ramsey's had to do it so many times I can't even count, and he's here, so I had to embarrass him. But I appreciate that, and if we can figure something out, I'd love it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And just to point out too, I know Casey Moe and the energy codes, it's an easy thing to identify, but obviously there's lots of things that go into the cost of a house and lots of regulation. Regulation is 25%, that's just across the board, the country in terms of this. And we know we can't control what happens at the federal level, and we can't control mortgage rates and interest rates, but this is something we can control. So whether it be codes, whether it be, again, fees, tap, water, sewer fees, whether it be policies and city, and that sort of thing, we just want to alleviate where we can, because we don't want the cost to continue to rise.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Thank you. Thanks for being here and for the presentation. Look forward to discussing with the commission what the actual verbiage of a resolution might be. But I am excited to pass one. I appreciate the work that you all are doing. I think you're tapping into one of the most important public policy conversations in the country. Glad to see the U.S. Senate move something along, although it's imperfect. I'm sure you'd agree. Glad that Kansas City took some action a couple weeks back, as has been mentioned. But we need local, state, and federal government across the board, along with the private sector, all working together to help address this problem. It has continued to worsen and worsen and worsen, and we have priced a whole generation of folks out of being able to afford a home, and there's all kinds of downstream negative effects that come from that. So I appreciate what you're doing. I especially appreciate it in the Platte County resolution, the fourth whereas, which just laid out, or was that the fifth whereas? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's the fourth. Okay. Which is to modernize housing policy, break down barriers, reduce unnecessary regulations, streamline processes, and empower local builders to meet the demand for affordable housing options, fostering stronger communities, all that. So all aboard. It can be kind of a devil's in the details situation in terms of exactly what that means. But I'm of the view that this has become such a significant issue that we ought to do a version of zero-based budgeting, except zero-based regulation specific to housing regulations, and we gotta go back to zero and then only put back what is absolutely necessary in order to turn the tide on this thing. So certainly open to, if you have identified anything at the Clay County level that is needed to be looked at, certainly open to that conversation. If this is more just a resolution stating our support generally, definitely open to that. My preference, just for the commission's knowledge, is to not be too adversarial with the way we frame it. I'm not looking to take shots at the mayor or Kansas City or something like that. I'd like to keep it, confined to public policy things that we support, as opposed to slamming others. So. That would be my preference in the way we end up fully riding this thing out, but we do need to do it. Government needs to get their act together. We all need to address this together. I will say I agree with a point that Commissioner Wagner made, which is that I'm a big believer in the free market, love it, but for whatever reason, the free market in housing is not providing smaller, cheaper houses a huge share of new housing, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but for whatever reason, the market incentives for home builders is pointing toward building the McMansion-style housing, which, yes, costs $500,000–600,000 new. So I don't know what the magic sauce is that changes that incentive structure to where home builders more frequently build smaller 1,200-foot, couple $100,000 homes, but that would be fantastic and certainly open to ideas if those exist. But at the end of the day, this is a supply and demand issue. One of the things I wish that schools did a better job of is demystifying how the price of things comes to be. because a huge chunk of the population out there is under the impression that prices get set by like some cabal of people who are like nefariously, puppet mastering the price of things. And that's, of course, not the way it works, right? The way it works is there's supply and demand, and then it comes to a price point organically through the market. And until we have more supply with housing, this is going to keep being an issue that it's unaffordable for too many people. So we have to increase supply. The demand is out there. It'll bring down the price. And I thank you for what you're doing. And if you have any thoughts specific to Commissioner Wagner's, how do we have market incentives for smaller, cheaper houses? I'm all ears, because I would love to hear how we can bring that into fruition.
I will say, this doesn't completely answer your question, and obviously there's a lot of experts that know more about it than me, but I know a lot of the problems is lot availability. And so right now, we have 12,000 lots available in the Kansas City metro area. 10 years ago in 2015, we had 30,000. So, and a lot of the municipalities in the region are running out of lots. Now, the Northland and Clay County and Platte County have that land, developable land, and so that is why, again, with the incentives as well as good processes, good government, those builders are looking for places to build. I think the more lots that we can get on the market, the better it's going to be. But with such a lower lot availability, we're having a hard time getting those smaller, because you can't build a $300,000 house on a $150,000 lot.
Yeah. So. Well, that's all I got. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. I will tell you, excuse me, you had me at hello. What you're talking about is what I constantly refer to as government overreach, plain and simple. And I know our planning and zoning folks hear me say that all the time. There's just too much government overreach all over the place. And when it comes to things like requirements that the different government agencies are going to put on buildings and that kind of stuff, it's silly. You get somebody who's crazy enough to stick their tongue in a light socket, and all of a sudden the government says, okay, everybody now has to have tongue guards on their light sockets. It's just too much, and it can really add up. My beautiful wife, she's in the real estate, and she worked for a major development company who developed residences all over the place, including in Kansas City, and she heard it loud and clear, the issues of building certain places and some of the restrictions that were on them, and how they said, we're done, we're not going to build here anymore. Or it jacks up our prices, or it puts them in a level that's just too high. And one of the things that a lot of the buyers are looking at now, and this kind of goes to what Commissioner Wagner was saying, I don't necessarily disagree with him, but you can look at, okay, you could pay more now and get that insulation put in and save on your electric bill later, or you can pay less and pay more on your electric bill. Two things to that. Number one, they're looking at is, well, if I pay more now, that's my property tax is going to be higher. And a lot of people, when they're buying homes, are looking at, what's my property tax going to be like on the sale of this home? And so that's a big thing that I know that my wife has dealt with a lot of folks that have been buying through her, is they want to know that number. My son was one of them. And then the other thing is, to me, it's like, that option should be there for the buyer, for the developer. If you want to put more insulation in, do it. If you don't, then you don't. No one should require, that of you. It's your property. You get to do what you want. And I think government just goes too far. And I get there's reasons for it. I mean, there's some safety reasons. Certainly, energy efficiency is a good thing. But at some point, we have to let the people decide for themselves. This is your property. We don't want to, be in your bedroom every night and tell you exactly what you can and can't do, and how this has to be built on every little thing. I think sometimes it just goes too far. And a lot of things, that's what government does. Government says, we need to fix this for everybody. We are the solution. We're the government, we're here to help. You've heard that before. And we're the problem sometimes. And I think in this case, we are part of that problem. We do have home prices that are very high. And sometimes we're part of that problem of making it too high because of those restrictions. And so, like I said, you had me at hello. I've been preaching this for a long time myself, that something's got to change, and it just makes it too difficult for the builders, for the developers who want to make a profit as well, and for people that are buying residences that, I didn't want all this stuff. I didn't need all this stuff for my house, but yet you're making me buy this stuff because it's part of your government requirements. So, amen, sister, I'm with you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. Just a couple extra thoughts. One, I do understand that position that my colleagues made, but I always like to flip it around because it seems to me if you can tell the second buyer of the house how cheap it is to live in it, it's actually a reason to buy the house. But that's just me. That's just me. But I understand the point, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. But one thing that I do have to point out again, well, wait, no. First I'm going to say you're right on the price of property. And when you have prices of property go as high as they do now in Clay County, it makes it awfully hard to be able to not build the McMansions that was mentioned. But I do know this, there's a lot of employers in Clay County that are looking for a workforce, and that workforce is finding it harder and harder to live here. And some folks have heard this story. You know, we've got lots of suppliers that work around Ford. You know where they live? Jackson County. Lots of them live in Jackson County, and they're having challenges actually getting them to that location. And so whether it's in the form of single family, whether it's the form of multifamily, the fact of the matter remains, if a workforce does not live by where people want to build industry, then pretty soon the industry doesn't come here. And so I would just note that, this is an eternal challenge. If it were easy, you wouldn't be here.
Figured it out hard.
But I do think whether it's in the form of land use, incentive, whatever the case may be, again, those are the folks who need those $250,000, $300,000 homes, who need to pay rents at, $1,200 instead of $3,000. They're the ones that are going to make the county the tax money it needs to go pay for the roads and the law enforcement and everything else that everyone looks for from services, whether it's from the county or whether it's from the city. And finally, I'll just say, it's hard for Kansas City to make something that's one size fits all because it has every kind of housing need that there is. Thus, the issues that you have, it's hard to do it. And again, if I had figured it out when I was on council, I just would have done it and you wouldn't be here. But it is what it is. So anyway, I'll just leave it at that and thank you again.
It's funny, we had a little bit of a discussion on what the definition of affordable is. And it got me thinking about the first house. I only have one wife, I had a number of houses. The first house my wife and I had was in Crestview. And it was hardly a McMansion. It was a 750 square foot little place. The thing is, obviously we're not living there now. I shouldn't say obviously, but we are not living there now. Because we were there, it was her and myself and 2 children. It was snug. It was snug. In fact, it was, okay, I'll go with this. It was so small. You may ask, how small was it, Jerry? It was so small, it did not require central heating. It had core heating in it. So we're talking about a modest beginning. But what that does is allows many young people to bootstrap their way up. So I'm not sure that we can say a starter home is $300,000 or $400,000 unless you're starting from a lot better place than my wife and I started from. But the point behind that is we have to allow that ladder for people to be able to better themselves. And this is a rung in the ladder. There are a number of rungs in this ladder that have been sawed off because of some of these, I think, policies that have gone a bit too far. So you can stay in a modest home, but then when you want to make the jump up to something that is more right-sized for your needs, you've got 3 children, you've got a lot of things going on, they're teenagers, you need space. This affordability really is where that rubber hits the road. We could not have stayed in that house. We had to bootstrap our way up, but there was that possibility. And at that time, it wasn't 30% to go to of your monthly salary going to your house payment. It was 25% was the rule of thumb, and that has continually been eroded away. And so that's kind of when we're talking about affordability, is being able to work your way into that position. The house we're in now, we had, actually it was just today, we had a contractor come out, and it was not a full-blown energy audit by any means. However, the house, when we had them in, they were looking around at different places, and we were asking them about some insulation that had been put in. And we said, gee, can you kind of, check that out and make sure it's still viable and all? And they goes, you don't need insulation there between those two floors. It just isn't practical. It does you no good. I'm sure if we had insisted, they'd been perfectly happy to hold us the insulation and the labor to put it in there. But they said, you don't need this. It is unnecessary. And not only does that add to the cost of the house, but when you think about when you buy a house, you're taking out a mortgage. So if you've got $1,000 worth of, just say, insulation, that is unnecessary, as it turns out in this case. You're not paying that $1,000 for that insulation. You're paying that $1,000 at whatever your interest rate is over 30 years. So that insulation is costing you a hell of a lot more than $1,000. And that was something that happened today that really kind of resonated with what we're talking about. If that insulation had not been put in there, would that house have then had a different price point? I get what Commissioner Wagner is saying, and I think he's got a good point, and that is, if you are adding to the value of the house by making it more energy efficient, I think that's one thing, but clearly some of these things, like the addition of this insulation, was, at least in the opinion of this expert, unnecessary, and for that matter, it was kind of a nuisance since it was starting to fall down a little bit. There was some talk about zero-based regulation. I think if I were to put a standard to it, what I'd be looking at, it would be two things. Does it add safety? Because we want to make sure that homes are safe. Nobody wants to build a house that is vulnerable to fire or any other problems. And is it adding value? That insulation I was just referring to in my home did not add value. It did add cost. And that's what we need to be looking at when we're looking at regulations, is how does that really work? And what Commissioner Johnson was referring to was something that, once again, showing my age, was once referred to as the nanny state. It's like, look, children, we know it's best for you, so we will just do this. I think there has to be more latitude in the customers that are buying these things, because like I say, that insulation, God knows what it would cost we have a low interest rate, so thank God for that. But if you were buying that house and you had a 6% interest rate, you're financing that insulation at 6% over 30 years. And that can get kind of pricey, and I don't know that you can necessarily do the math and have that pay back off again. Something, and then I'll go to Commissioner Lawson, that I wanted to bring up, and that was Clay County is different from some of our fellow counties in that we do have a lot of space, we have a lot of developable land. It so happens that roughly 50% of our population lives within the city of Kansas City. So what happens in Kansas City impacts us greatly. I guess what I'm asking is, as far as this program goes, and we talked about kind of the bigger picture, can you give us some thoughts on how these policies would affect maybe a more dynamically growing county like Clay County, as opposed to a county that was pretty much built out? Because we are trying to attract and we are trying to grow. And I do take Commissioner Wagner's point that housing has to be there to be able to attract the workforce that we need for a variety of wages. But like I say, I look at this as builders being able to build in where those rungs have been cut off the ladder between kind of your bootstrap starter home up to your dream home, your forever home. That gap appears to be wider than an awful lot of people can bridge. And so can you kind of expand a little bit on what that means to counties like Clay County?
I mean, it means that the people who are in existing homes are staying in their homes, and those who are looking to buy for the first time are staying in apartment buildings, which is why you're seeing so many apartment buildings go up, which we're not against apartments. I think there's a need for diverse housing across the board. But it stunts growth because your population might grow, but the home ownership and the tax base is not. And so a big goal of this campaign is to bring awareness to the pain points that are within the municipalities and counties in the metro. And I would first kind of just, as a caveat, I should have said this in the beginning. Obviously, this campaign starts a conversation. We're having this conversation. The municipalities in Clay County, minus Kansas City and Missouri, are extremely builder-friendly. And a part of this campaign is where we go to those municipalities and we commend those planning and development departments in the city council. So Clay County as a whole, your residents are very welcoming of housing and they want growth. But as you mentioned, the majority of the growth opportunity is within the city limits of Kansas City. And so I think we just want to bring attention to, code is just a part of this, city processes is another. So always encouraging streamlined processes that can be accomplished in a short amount of time, as well as being very aware of impact fees and park fees and water, tap and sewer fees and all of those things. So it's all comprehensive to what we're trying to achieve. Does that answer your question?
And I also, by the way, what Commissioner Carpenter was saying, because it is easy, and a number of our builders here locally choose not to build in the city of Kansas City for a variety of reasons. But you're right, we shouldn't necessarily, it is not necessarily productive to paint bad guys, because I think we have to give credit where credit is due, and the recent actions of Kansas City have been in the right direction. And I think when governmental entities move in the right direction of lesser regulation and letting people do what they do without any unnecessary fetters, I think we should celebrate that. Sometimes human nature is such that we are much more inclined to quickly criticize and perhaps less quick to say, yeah, good job. So I think we need to make sure that we are reaching out to people who are, in fact, going in the correct direction. But the issue is we need to make sure that, like I say, what bothers me is I cannot get away from the ladder metaphor, because we were able to climb that ladder. That ladder. My wife and I and our family were able to climb the ladder, and now we are in a home that we are comfortable with. It took us a while to get there, but I think that's what many people who are entering the housing market are looking for, is a way to get in there and to come up to where they eventually want to be. And that's what this is all about, is creating an atmosphere where we are able to bring that cost down, because I think you had mentioned the cost differential when some of those policies were enacted as far as the price of a home.
Correct.
That is something that is incredibly daunting. I don't know how our kids did it. They're all in nice homes, and I certainly, thank God that they are able to do that. But I also recognize that not everybody is able to do that, and we need to open up the opportunities for home ownership, because after all, for a very large percentage of our population, their home is one of their biggest assets. It just works that way. And to have those rungs sawed off the ladder strikes me as a way that keeps people who are trying to better themselves, it puts an unnecessary burden on them, and it does not allow them to achieve the kind of prosperity that they aspire to. And at the end of the day, what we're supposed to be doing in this chamber is giving people as much latitude as possible, staying out of their way for the most part, as Ronald Reagan would have said, and let them achieve. And so I think at the core of it, this strikes me as what this Let Builders Build concept is about, is let's let people be able to run with their ambitions and be able to achieve the prosperity that they are striving for their families, because that's what it's about. Everybody wants to have a nice place to raise their children and a good community, and it strikes me that this is a substantial step forward in that effort to be able to help people realize the promise of private home ownership. Commissioner Lawson.
I will be brief. Here's the thing. I'm as strong about government overreach as is Commissioner Johnson. And I don't think this body has the right to tell builders, this is what you should do. I know that they're going to do whatever they're going to do. but I don't think we have the right to put out a document that says, this is what we need to see more of and why we need to see it. I think that dictating to them goes against everything that we talk about being American. You know, you work, you save like I did. I came from nothing. My husband and I had no backing. Nobody gave us anything. We worked our fannies off to get the things we got, and we kept working until we got where we wanted to be. So I think that this country gives everybody that opportunity. And as you watch the building that is going on in Clay County, the homes are large. I wouldn't want to buy them because I wouldn't want to clean it. But the other side of the coin is that people are buying them like crazy. They can't build them. They can't build them fast enough. You look at that subdivision that just sits to the west on I-35 as you come out of Liberty. Good gravy. That thing was 4 houses, and it seemed like a month later it was 35 houses, and now it's just loaded with homes, and people are buying every one of them. The builder is employing workers. The builder is buying materials from companies that employ workers. And I think it's just the natural progression of things. I would be opposed to dictating to anybody what they should build and why they should build it. There's homes out there that I could take somebody to right now, probably 60 houses that are under $150,000. No, they're not going to be in Briarcliff, but your starter home that you start out with, and then you build from there. They're out there if people want them. And saying, this is what you should do, Mr. Builder, and you should be affordable housing, affordable housing. What is affordable housing? To me, what's affordable isn't the same as somebody else. But I don't think we dictate. So that's my feeling on it. I appreciate what you're doing. I think you're a kind, good person. And I'm sure that this is needed, but I don't think we tell anybody how they build. That's just my feeling.
Do you have anything you'd like to any summation that you'd like to make?
No, I just really appreciate the time and your guys' willingness to hear about the campaign. And just to echo what Commissioner Lawson said, is that we agree. We need all types of housing in the metro. There's a need pretty much on every spectrum. And so we need entry-level housing. We need that missing middle housing from getting that entry level because basically, we have a $350,000 entry-level house, and then we go up to $650,000. So, as well as we do need apartments for those who are getting on their feet, et cetera. So, that's the point of this campaign, is just to have our builders feel supported by their municipalities and the counties and the legislators and leaders in the region, who I know all prioritize housing. It's a topic across the country, as Commissioner Carpenter said, and it's a conversation we have every day on trying to tackle the affordability or attainability crisis. And I think this is just a way to move the needle just a little bit as we slowly chip at this. So I really, really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. And if there's any further materials that you think we should
Absolutely.
brought to our attention, get with our administrator and make sure that he has it. He will certainly make sure that they get distributed.
There were a few questions regarding kind of our analysis of the energy code, as well as I've got some information on some impact fees that have happened in the metro, as well as some different material pipeline issues. So I'm happy to send those over just for reading material, and so you guys can look those over as well.
Well, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you.
And with that, we will move on to our consent agenda. Mr. Administrator, would you please go forward? Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Ma'am?
Excuse me, I called and was told to take comments.
I'm sorry, could you come up to the podium? Because we can't hear you very well from back there. Sorry, you were kind of outside my peripheral vision there a little bit.
I apologize.
Could you
Linda
state your
Hetzel.
name, by the way, please?
Linda Hetzel, 13318 Plattsburgh Road, Kearney. I'm sorry, I called ahead and was told you would take public comments for this discussion item, so I came prepared. We haven't eaten dinner, and
Sure.
So are you not taking public
No,
comments?
we can walk that back. I didn't see you, so it was my error. Please go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, and I apologize for the disruption. I wanted to speak in support of Commissioners Lawson and Wagner. I share your observations and concerns. It could be that, well, affordable, whatever that is, housing is a very complicated issue, not the least of which it is related to wealth disparity in this country and inflation as well as interest rates. So an ad campaign, as beautifully done as it is, does not address necessarily all the issues that impact what's going on with available housing and what people have to pay for it. And I would encourage this body not to use county funds to do the research on supporting a particular interest group's ad campaign, because I know budget is important. I too don't support regulations or rules that don't seem well-founded or are somehow frivolous. But I would say that to support or write a position statement in favor of this ad campaign would set a dangerous precedent in that it would be allowing a special interest group to impact the orderly deliberation of policies and procedures that guide the development and preservation of the quality of life in Clay County. As a stakeholder in the most recent comprehensive plan debate, I spent hundreds of hours participating in the determination of the best practices for the county. Special interest groups should not be permitted to undo particular guiding principles to benefit their personal objectives. I would encourage that the builders, if they want to pursue this further, would separate county and municipality issues because they've been intermingled through the entire discussion, and look at cost-benefit analysis, bring to this body what would be the operating cost for the buyer, and how much of the savings that the builder experiences will be passed on to the buyer. Energy prices in the state of Missouri are up like 25% this year, or 2025, they were 25%. So removing particular energy codes at this point may not be a good decision, even if we could figure out how to do it. So how can Clay County change its permitting process or its regulatory process? I think it would have to go code by code, which would be a whole different process than just supporting an ad campaign. Thanks, and I appreciate your allowing my interruption.
And I apologize for not seeing you there. Ma'am, please.
Green button.
Oh, no, turn it back on again. There, you're
Now
good.
it's on. All
That's
right,
okay.
good.
Don't worry about it.
Thanks. First of all, I want to thank you all for the thoughtful conversation that I've heard here tonight. It's the first time for me, Margot Farnsworth is my name, and it's the first time for me to appear before this whole body. So I want to thank you for your service on that. I have worked with developers in a collaborative fashion on environmental issues that moved us both forward. I served under and collaborated with, not worked for, but collaborated with 2 presidential administrations, one Republican, one Democrat, so nonpartisan, and have worked across the country from Spartanburg, South Carolina to Nashville to Galveston, Texas, on these specific issues. I've worked with Sandia National Labs looking at the water energy nexus, and we're looking at something that is bigger than just housing as we look at housing in our communities. you all have raised some very salient points to that end. So what I would like to ask is that you do, as you move forward and discuss this, really keep in mind the thousands of hours that were put into, not only by the citizens, but the staff and yourselves on the comprehensive plan. It's a good plan, and we've already cooperated a little. We've given a little bit here. And, like you, the first house my husband and I lived in, you couldn't take a shower and do the laundry at the same time. So I love your latter metaphor. But I think we really have to ask hard questions about why would we ignore, or why would we take our comprehensive plan and think of it less than what we've already put into it. I think with regard to the water energy nexus, the utility points are so well made. We have to look at that. And in terms of water, and of course those two things work in tandem, a lot of people see the Missouri River, which is where we get our water from, and think, oh, it's this big, deep, the average depth of water in Kansas City in the Missouri River is 20 to 25 feet. So it isn't a big, deep water source. And that's part of what we have to think about when we think about housing too. Not just environment for the trees, but for our community and for our community health. So I hope you will consider that in your conversation. And the third thing is green infrastructure. I've worked with a number of city governments who have been trying to overcome the costs of gray infrastructure because the flood drought cycle has been exacerbated over the last several decades. Most of us have been alive long enough to see how that's changed. And if we honor the green infrastructure in our cities, including trees, and in a sensible way, so we're not trying to overreach, but we are trying for that balance that the two of you talked about. And definitely the things within the comprehensive plan that tend toward serving that green infrastructure are critically important, because what we don't want to do is put the baby out with the bathwater and just let things go scot-free and anybody to do what they want to do just for the sake of doing it. When we were working with developers, we were doing things like green certifications, so that would greenlight and fast-track developers who were putting certain environmental practices into place, and they had a whole menu to choose from. It wasn't prescriptive, so they could fast-track themselves if they chose to. And we worked with everyone from Habitat for Humanity to the Tennessee Titans in some of our homes. And on that end of the spectrum, the energy and water-friendly practices that were put into place there, the costs were not borne by the developers, and the developers loved this. They passed the costs on to the buyers, who then, and I'm not an economist and I don't play one on TV, I hired an economist to do this for us. They paid back that cost in 4.1 years, and in the first year saved over 3 million gallons of water. So these things are borne out by science, and my name's there. If you'd like any information from me later on, I'm very happy to help. But I appreciate you all, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry? Okay. With that, then, we will go next to our consent agenda, unless I don't see any other comments. Mr. Administrator?
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, before I leave that topic, I appreciate the lady and anyone else who is here just for a particular issue, but I would remind any citizen that they are always welcome to be here, welcome to attend any of our public meetings, and we are always honored with your presence. So if you're a first-time visitor, as the lady was, don't let it be the last time. Please come visit us again and keep an eye on what we're doing. Thank you very much, and thank you for the home builders for their input. With that, Mr. Administrator, let's go to the consent agenda.
Yes, we have 3 items on our consent agenda tonight. First one is 2026-67. Number of invoices, 186, total amount of $753,257.61. And those for the dates of February 28th through March 6th. Next one is 2026 Ordinance 8, an ordinance to reappropriate and revise the adopted budget for the current year of Clay County. The County Commission hereby authorizes the county auditor to reappropriate 2026 budget to create 2026 purchase orders for the open purchase order, 2025 purchase orders, as detailed within the document. The next one is 2026-71, is approval of the renewal of property and casualty insurance policy for Travelers Insurance, Chubb Insurance, and Tokyo Marine HCC Risk Management. This is an item that was presented to you as a discussion item in the previous meeting. Those are 3 items for the consent agenda.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Motion has been made for the approval of this evening's consent agenda. Discussion? Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. That brings us to our regular agenda. First item on regular agenda is 2026-39. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, 2026-39 is appointment of members to the Children's Services Fund Board for the commission. This member is Mr. Meyer Neff, term expiring December 31st of 2028, is up for to be a member of the board. He's already been, there you go.
Very well. Commissioner Lawson.
Too many sons on there, Johnson, Lawson, Thompson. I'd like to table this appointment until next week. And I have had a young woman who had put her application in for this board over a year ago. She has some unbelievable credentials, great education in this very field, and I would like us to be able to at least evaluate the 2 individuals before we go ahead and proceed with this appointment. Nothing against the gentleman that you've got. I'm not trying to do anything like that. I'm just saying that I think that this application was out there for a year and nobody paid any attention to it, and I'd certainly like the opportunity.
As a technical point, because I want to make sure, if you are making your tabling motion now, that obviously cuts off all, and for those of you who might not be here.
I'm making a motion to table this appointment until next week.
Because that will then obviously cut off all discussion.
Yes, sir. Okay, good deal.
Okay. With that, motion to table, as some of you who may not realize who are here may be visiting, motion to table is a privileged motion. It must be taken up and considered with a vote without further discussion. So with that, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
No.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Mr. Administrator, that was not really given, the motion was not made, and I perhaps should have corrected that. It was not made in such a way that it would have a date certain. How do we want to approach that as far as taking it off the table at some future meeting? Go ahead and explain that process so everybody
Again,
knows.
I thought I heard the motion with a date certain to next week. Was what I heard.
I didn't catch that, I apologize. So if that was in there, then that answers the
From
technical
staff, I think we
question.
will have it on the agenda for next week, which I think is consistent with the motion.
Very well. So that means that 2026-39 has been tabled until next meeting, and we will take it up at that point. That brings us to, that brings us to 2026-42.
I do want to ask a different information. So what is the expectation for next week? Are you asking for both that applicant and the previous applicant to both be here for next week? what is the expectation for next week? Is the request for both applicants to be here next week to
No,
discuss? Okay.
I was going to talk to you about that after, but,
Okay.
yeah.
And by the way, I'll just take I guess, a point of privilege, and that is, in the case of when we have visitors show up, if there is an anticipation that any member wants to table it, we should really let whoever the applicant or whoever the citizens are know in advance. People move their schedules around so that they are able to be here, and when it becomes something, I didn't realize that, but when it becomes impromptu, it is perhaps not our best method by any means. I think whoever we consider for various positions, or who we are considering for any other comments, if it is possible to save them a trip, I think we should try to proceed with that courtesy. We're getting ready to go ahead, Commissioner Johnson. Let me get
I
your
just want
mic.
to comment real quick, just because we couldn't have discussion once something's tabled, but mainly for the public to know, and also Mr. Neth, we've had discussions in the past amongst this commission that when a commissioner is not comfortable with something for whatever reason, and needs more time to evaluate something, and they decide to table something, I will almost 100% of the time support that, just so that my fellow commissioner can have that time that they need to be comfortable in making a decision. And I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I know some other people have expressed that same thing. A tabling and us supporting that tabling does not mean anything other than we support the commissioner who wants more time to evaluate this thing. So I just want to make that clear.
I would like to comment further, and that is to say that if a commissioner anticipates this kind of a situation, if they will let me know in advance, we can make adjustments, and we can let that person know that they will, in fact, not be permitted to speak. Whatever our issue is, I have a great deal of apprehension, given the history of this commission. I have a great deal of apprehension when citizens are not allowed the opportunity to speak. That concerns me greatly. And so I think that we should be, like I say, if there is an issue that is not ready for a vote, not ready for full discussion, if I can know about that, we can then do that perhaps in a way that will be more considerate to the people who are in fact involved in that. I don't want to get too, we cannot discuss obviously that particular issue. So right now we're just talking about how we would proceed in these, in the event that these happen. Commissioner Lawson, I'll let you go ahead and have a word, but then I think we need to move on.
In the past, there has been question on several boards of these boards, and there really hasn't been any discussion or investigation. It just gets put back on. So that was the reason I thought perhaps we could discuss it further. That's all. Nothing against anybody. And in the past, we haven't had that many applicants come when they've been put on the board. Last time we talked about that, nobody was here. So having the people come, that's something kind of new. So anyway, regardless, I made my motion, it passed, we need to go on.
I would just repeat this point. The applicant was here at the specific,
I know that.
to have let him know so he wouldn't have made the trip and perhaps done whatever scheduling would have been an act of consideration. There is no doubt that the commissioner is acting within her abilities under parliamentary law. There is no question on that point. She has certainly the ability to make the motion that she made, and certainly the commission has the ability to vote on that given the situation, and they voted how they voted. I'm just saying, let us show some consideration to those people who have actually, not just to citizens, but people who actually are willing to come forward and participate in these boards and commissions. It is a difficult enough job to get people to volunteer for these kinds of positions without what might well appear to be rudeness. And no, we are not going to go. We are going to move on now, because if you want to put this on for discussion, then do it.
What you want to say, then you control how everybody else gets to speak. So,
You know what? We're moving on now.
go on.
Mr. Administrator, please continue, and our next issue is 2026-42.
Next item is 2026-42 is reappoint members to the Development Disabilities Resource Board Commission. We have 3 members for reappointment. All have terms that will expire January 31st of 2029. Then Mr. Stephen Elliott, Mr. Alan Lee Naylor, and Ms. Janet Marie White.
Very well. Yes, sir, if you would like to come up. And once again, I will remind citizens who would come up to speak, make sure the green light is on by pushing the button, identify yourself, and then please speak. So, yes, sir.
My name is Rick White. I am the current chairperson of the Clay County Developmental Disability Resource Board. We do have 3 members that are due up for renewal. All have requested to be renewed. On these 3 particular members, each one of them is the chair of one of the committees. Mr. Elliott is the chair of the Finance Committee. Mr. Naylor is the chair of the Board-Owned Properties Committee. And Mrs. White is the chair of the Service Committee. On our board, we're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid. We've got 4 members in particular. I am one of them. The other 3 are the 3 that are up for renewal right now, that put forth an average of 500 hours a year of volunteer services for this county board on developmental disabilities. The remainder of the board members put up somewhere between 25, 50, maybe one of them might be at 150, but none of them put forth the passionate hours that these particular 3 members put up. Another thing, the Clay County website shows that we only have 1 that's up for renewal, and that the other 2 were actually good for 28. That's incorrect. That same website showed that I wasn't the chair for 2 years, and now it finally shows that I'm the chair. So somebody needs to correct the website. But anyway, these 3 people put forth over 500 hours of volunteer service. I think there's also some possible point of contention that we have 1 member that is outside the county. We actually have in the bylaws that were done before I joined this board that indicate that we can have up to 2 individuals outside the county. Part of the reason for that is the fact that sometimes you need little specialties. You just can't have regular folks that, don't have any additional talents. And thankfully, we've got a lot of talents on this board that are able to do these particular jobs. That's why these particular 3 that are up for renewal are the same people that put forth those kind of hours. They're the chairs of those particular committees. So I'd like to respectfully ask the commissioners to reappoint these individuals, and if you guys have any questions, I'm free to answer those.
Commissioner Lawson.
The only question I had, and
Yes,
you brought that up, and I'm glad you did, I'll ask our lawyer. So they can have 2 individuals that are outside of the Clay County making these decisions?
Yeah, so this is, and we were talking about this last night. This is at least one of the boards, not the only board I was thinking of. By statute, under 205.970, Missouri statute, they're permitted to have up to 2 non-county citizens on their board.
Okay. And do you have any others now?
No, we only have 1. That is Steve Elliott. And Steve, his aunt lives in Clay County. As a matter of fact, his mother was one of the original members of the Clay County Developmental Disability Resource Board. Her name is on the cornerstone of the building. So it was her sister that had the developmental disability. Steve promised his mother that he would take care of her, and he does. He's over here in the county countless amount of time taking care of his aunt. And he's one of our most passionate members. Plus, he's probably our best one on the finance side.
Mm-hmm. So now you have two that are,
We only have
Have the
one
one.
that is outside the county.
and that's what?
We only have one individual that is outside of Clay County. That
And
is Steve
say his
Elliott.
name again?
Steve Elliott.
Oh, okay, Steve,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming here tonight. Thank you for your service and to all the board members. Really appreciate it. You guys do it for free.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. We need more people that will step up and do that kind of thing. We've got a lot of boards, a lot of commissions out there, and it's always a struggle. I'm actually very glad that you addressed the residency issue, because that's kind of been a discussion in a lot of circles actually recently. We just talked last night. We had our Constitutional Review Committee here last night, and that was one of the discussions we had come up with the idea of, hey, we've got 250,000 plus people in this county. Why can't we find someone of the 250,000 in the county to do that job? And I was not even aware that, I knew there were some that had some statutory allowances. I was not aware that this was one of those that had a statute, so I appreciate our attorney bringing that up. But thank you for being here. Thank you for explaining that. And I actually really appreciate when board members are up for election or chairs of the boards come and talk to us and just tell us what's going on. It's nice to put a face to the name, to the board.
Come to one of our meetings, yes.
Yeah.
By the way, Mr. Elliott used to live over in Ben Oaks until just not that long ago. So he was a Clay County citizen all of his life.
I'd known that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Mr. Elliott, did you want to speak, or?
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Yes.
I apologize. May I, before he leaves the podium, may I ask, since we're talking about eligibility, would the commission allow me to ask a question?
Oh, of course, please, I didn't
Okay,
realize.
so we talked about the statute. The statute on this one is very particular. In addition to the allowance for two outside of county members, it requires that there be at least two members on the board who are related within a third degree of someone with a disability. And my question is, if you're going to consider, as we consider this, is how many do you have? And are any of these three occupying one of those required roles?
Two of those three do have Clay County citizens of developmental disabilities. One does not, but one's been active in the disability community probably about as long as I've been alive. Not quite, but just to kind of give you a feel.
And so,
Yes, sir.
how many total of the nine?
Five members have individuals with developmental disabilities.
Okay, 5 members do.
Yes.
So none of these are required from that perspective to be reappointed. Is that fair?
That's
Okay, I just want to make sure that they understand that.
Well, two of them do have developmental disability members within the county. So we would be down two if they were not reappointed.
The statute requires 2.
Yes.
At least.
We would be at 3 at that point.
My point is, if it got us to a point where we were out of compliance, I'd want them to know that.
Right.
So even whatever they do with
Understood.
this, would not be out of compliance. Okay.
Right. And if these individuals are not reappointed, as the chair, I beg you to find me individuals that are passionate enough to be able to put up those 500 hours of volunteer service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, by the way, Mr. Counselor. I appreciate you raising that issue, because also that brings up a broader issue, and that is, while the situation with this particular DDRB board is unique in its specific aspects, it is not unique in that there are a number of boards and commissions that have a number of different requirements. So I would certainly urge commissioners, as we consider these boards and commissions, to research and to make sure that that they have a good understanding of what the limitations are. Some of those limitations, the question that was asked out of 260 some odd thousand people, well, you've got to find the needle in a haystack is essentially what you're looking for. You've got to find good people. You've got to find people that have certain requirements, and you have to find someone who is willing to put up that kind of massive time. Those are as scarce as hen's teeth in many instances. So I would urge commissioners to be mindful of that as they make their considerations. Mr. Elliott. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Steve Elliott. I just want to add on, I moved to Clay County in 1992 into Ben Oaks. It was John Ferguson's neighbor. He really led me into the DDRB realm because he was on that board for a long time, along with my mother. I have a passion for it. I'm the guardian and conservator of my Aunt Mary, who is a Clay County resident. I report to the court annually as a guardian and conservator for her. I didn't move to Platte County until COVID, and I moved here in '92. So I just want to let you know I've been a long-term. I was born in this county, and I will be buried in this county. In the courthouse, the Juvenile Justice Center is named after my uncle, R. Kenneth Elliott. So we're long-term Clay County residents. And the only reason I'm in Platte County is the woman I live with. She's from Platte County. And we only moved 2 miles from the Clay County line. We're off of Green Hills. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Carpenter, you were seeking recognition.
Thanks. Yeah, I just want to join Commissioner Johnson in thanking you all for all the hard work. I've had the good pleasure and honor to know Chairman White since I was, 3, 4, 5 years old, something like that. So all the way back as long as I can remember, and appreciate y'all's service on the board. Thank you.
Very well. With that, we have engaged in some degree of discussion. However, there is not yet a motion. Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve 2026-42.
Motion been made for the approval of 2026-42. Discussion. Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the service you render. By the way, parenthetically, I want to alert the commission that we are hopeful to have the DDRB members come forward in May. We're trying to engage in periodic meetings where members of boards and commissions that oversee substantial monies in many cases come forward and give us a report on the things that they are doing and a reflection of their stewardship of the people's money. So we have just started that. It is hopefully going to happen in May, but we need to make sure we have schedules put together. But I wanted the commission to be aware of the fact that we are, in fact, moving forward on that particular front. With that, that brings us to 2026-74.
Yes, 2026-74, approval of lease agreement with 92 GTEC mobile data terminals with accessories from the Shy International Corporation for our Sheriff Department. We have Sheriff Phil Kofer here for any additional questions you may have regarding it.
Please proceed.
Hello, Commissioner. Phil Kofer, Sheriff's Office. Here to speak on behalf of the proposal, answer any questions you may have on it. It's a request to enter into a 5-year lease agreement with SHI International to replace 92 of our GTAC, basically laptops, mobile data terminals that we use out on the patrol. So this lease is a 5-year lease that will replace basically all of the computers we have out in the field. So all of our patrol vehicles, those will be replaced, and the 5-year lease also includes the extended warranty. So all of the devices will be under warranty for the duration of that lease. And it includes the docking stations, the equipment to put it in the patrol cars, a few other items. I think there's a couple specialty computers.
Johnson, I'm sorry, you went, Commissioner Carpenter, we got a little technical glitch there, but you're up.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. In the lease agreement, if hypothetically 2, 3, 4 years in, we are dissatisfied or maybe the technology has become out of date for some reason, what kind of optionality have we got?
Honestly, I don't know the exact details on that. This ran through the patrol division, so I apologize for not having the exact answer to that. I could defer. Kevin, would you have an answer on that one?
I know one of my assistants worked on the actual contract and certainly indicated it was ready for review and approval, but I don't have any more information on that.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, it just occurs to me, as always, we've had a lot of discussions about the world of technology, and sometimes it can be a fast-moving world. And so with the 5-year lease agreement, it just occurs to me that.
Yeah, I will add to it, though. It is an annual renewal as well as updating the functionality. So that was something they did look at, was to try to stay on top of what it's going, the functionality as years go on. Kind of thinking about what you're saying is so that things won't get outdated. So that's part of it, provide the functionality as for us.
Very good.
I know part of the reason they wanted to move to the lease agreement was the computers out in the field, it's hard use, and they are touchscreen, and I know we had some issues where the ones we would buy, they would get damaged and we'd have to replace them, so the lease agreement covers the warranty. As far as them becoming outdated or not happy with the service, I don't have an exact answer to that, but the warranty would cover any damage, replacement, ongoing usage issues we may have.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
So I think rooted in Commissioner Carpenter's question was an AI question. So along those lines, you have a rep here from the company, GTAC?
From the manufacturer, yes.
Anything you can tell us about AI and any incorporation in this, or how that plays into your product? Or I hate to put you on the spot, but I just did.
No, Brian Mancuso from GTAC, former Wyandotte County deputy, so appreciate what y'all do.
Okay, thanks.
It's nice to be over here, though. Yeah, so in the space of, this is a rugged computer. It's not normal. There's 3 big players, Panasonic, GTAC. The G is General Electric. We're the #1 defense contractor. This is the only laptop that is AI up to grade. So back to your question. If you look at the pecking order, we're #1 in technology, followed down by Panasonic and Dell from the quality standpoint. They last past 5 years. They're military. That's my main bread and butter. So they've got to press out past there. Our standard agreement is to 5, but we can actually go to 7. So that tells you this is done at Microsoft Windows last October, cut off Windows 10 for NCIC access. So that pushed a lot of agencies having to get newer Windows 11. And with Windows 12 comes out, you easily can upload it. This unique computer does a couple things that's unique. It is up to 2 screens. So as a deputy, I used to come back in to go do 2 screens. Deputies are now staying in the car longer to do reports, staying out in the field. It's also built in to be a router. When the agency decides to start offloading dash cam, body cam, it can do it, and you don't have to go buy a separate router. So we try to save money. You know, that's one thing about GTAC on it. The other thing it does, built in, one last thing, let's see. So deputy pulls somebody over, got a barcode scanner right there, so it can do the e-ticketing real quick, save lives, save money. The last thing that this thing's unique do, so you guys actually are ahead in Missouri, #1 agency to have AI. EYES is a license plate scanner, so the deputy can say the plate out loud, it will run it. Officer keeps his hands on the wheel, initiates stop, walks up to the car, gets driver's license using a Bluetooth, says the driver, now you're going to stay with him so he doesn't give him time to potentially get a gun. We've seen shootings all over, right? So he gets it, oh, all right, sir, you got a warrant, please step out. Then he gets in the car, he says the report, doesn't listen to the radio, so you guys get back in service quicker to help other citizens. So that's kind of the thing. You're not the only ones in town. Las Vegas use this, Orlando, Wichita, I mean, Casey is getting ready, Mo PD's getting ready to use it. Casey North, or Casey Fire's been using us for many years, and of course you guys have. Appreciate that, so.
Any fingerprinting capabilities on that?
It does do finger scanning for an officer to unlock, but not for like bringing a prisoner or person in and say, hey, let's run it. It's not facial recognition by the means of like, you know, hold up like, are you on it?
Right.
Yeah, it's just meant to be in the car. It's lowered, so when the officer drives, you know, we made it wider and lowered it so the officer can keep it up, look out his mirrors, not, you know, we try to keep people safe is our main thing, so.
Okay, thank you. So I'm a big fan. I know how important these are. To me, having an officer without something like that in the car is like sending them out without a gun. I was disappointed that there was no PowerPoint presentation. Amy usually has a PowerPoint presentation with Wazoo stuff on
I got it
there.
in the car.
Yeah, but
I
that's
totally
okay.
failed.
That's
I'll
okay.
know better for next time.
So with that said, I'm a big supporter. I move to approve 2026-74.
Motion is made for the approval of 2026-74 in spite of the absence of an up-to-date and up-to-snuff PowerPoint presentation. That notwithstanding, that is the motion for the discussion. Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Appreciate the presentation and the demonstration. That brings us to 2026-68. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, 2026-68 is approval of invoice payments for Clay County Prosecutor's Office for the period of February 28th to March 6th. We have a total of 13 invoices totaling $6,979.45.
Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve 2026-68.
68? I thought you said 58, but
68, yeah.
68, correct. Motion's been made for the approval of 2026-68. Discussion. Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
I recuse myself.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 in favor, 1 recusal.
Thank you. That brings us to the final issue under our regular agenda. That is 2026-52. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, 2026-52, approval of master service agreement with 3-year solutions proposal for the version 7 of the county data backups and disaster recovery solution. We have our IT director, Kevin Shaw, here to expand on the program.
Please proceed.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kevin Shaw, IT Director. I also have my Systems Administrator, Seth Zamora, here. For every 3 years, we go out and we review our backups and find out the best needs we can do, assessing our best way going forward. We made a plan for 2026 to do immutable backups so that we could protect our data from any ransomware attacks. We researched 5 different backup solutions that could do immutable backups, and we found that the Rubrik proposed solution fit our needs the best. So we are seeking approval of this resolution.
Very well. Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve 2026-52.
Motion is made for the approval of 2026-52. Further discussion. Seeing none, you're recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson? Yes. Commissioner Wagner? Commissioner Thompson? Commissioner Carpenter? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. That brings us to reports. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, this evening we have our auditor's cash basis monthly report for February 2026. It's within your package for further review.
Very well. And following up on that, that brings us to administrator comments.
Yes, our next meeting is March 19th, but also we have had our second Constitution Review Commission meeting that was held yesterday at 4 o'clock here. Went very well. They reviewed the first 2 articles, Article 1 and Article 2. The second, and they may try to go through the different articles as they go along. The next one they have is March 18th at 4 o'clock as well. They'll be here, and that'll be items. The agenda will be out tomorrow. That would include items from Article 2 that need to come back and reviewed, but also Article 3 of next week. And then they have a follow-up meeting on March 25th, another Wednesday. So you can follow online. You also can watch via YouTube and live stream, as well as follow the agendas. And if you as the public would like to make any comments or submit any questions, we also have a link on the website regarding that as well.
Thank you very much. That brings us to Commissioner comments. Commissioner Lawson, we'll start with you this evening.
Not a thing.
Commissioner Wagner.
Yeah, a couple of things. First, I want to recognize some sad news, and that is of the passing of Benoit Cousement, who was a firefighter in North Kansas City, who passed away 2 days ago. I don't know entirely the circumstances, and I'm not going to speculate what they are, but I will just recognize that any time any member of what I lovingly refer to as the red team because I'm just used to calling them the red team, passes, and I had the experience when I was in Kansas City of having 2 who passed away. You may remember that from a few years ago. But I just want to recognize and just say that our prayers, our well wishes are with that department in North Kansas City, because that's a big deal, and it always is a big deal, and rightfully so. But just want to send our prayers to them as they deal with that, as well as the young man's family. He died just short of being 22 years old.
Oh, my God.
Wow. So just want to recognize that. But on a lighter note, just to suggest that I do recognize my issues when I have them, I would note that last week I wished everybody a safe Snake Saturday and St. Patrick's Day. I come upon that mistake honestly, but I won't explain what it was. But simply, I will say, have a very safe Snake Saturday. I believe the county will be represented.
They will.
Out there. I believe that it will be another wonderful day, just like last Saturday was, should they have done Snake Saturday last week. And perhaps next Tuesday for St. Patrick's Day, it will be better than what this last Tuesday was. So whether you're going to one or both of those events or participating, I hope everyone has a safe one and an enjoyable one. Thank you very much.
Aaron Go Brock, gentlemen. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, 2 things real quick. First, we went to had the zoological district meeting today, and I won't bore everybody with the numbers, but I will be sending out all the budget information that anybody wants to see. There's also a lot of good information that they gave us in a packet today, and we've actually asked the zoo to actually make one of these for all of you, so you can, all the commissioners, so you can see it. We also, actually, one of our other Representative Greg Knutson had asked that we set up a day that all of the commissioners from here, as well as Jackson County, can maybe have a behind-the-scenes tour to see exactly where our tax dollars are going at the zoo. And I thought it'd be a great idea. So at some point in the future, hopefully we'll be able to set that up so you guys can all get, so when your constituents ask, hey, where's this money going? You'll have some behind-the-scenes, first-hand knowledge of where it's going and what it's doing for us. It's a great place if you haven't been there, but anyway, so that's coming up. The other thing I want to talk about is, we hear in the news all the time and recently about government fraud and money that's being, fraudulently spent and stolen from the government. And the big one I think lately was, Minnesota and the hundreds of millions of dollars there through some kind of fraudulent stuff going on. But even locally, we heard recently a local school district that, figured out $600,000 plus was being skimmed off of their budget for quite a while now. And it always baffles me. How could you miss, or how could you not miss that kind of money, not know where that kind of money went? And I'm sure there's a reason for that, but to me, it means there's not checks and balances in place to prevent that, because obviously it wasn't prevented. And so I guess my concern is, my issue is that we have those checks and balances in place here in Clay County. And one of those checks and balances, I actually meant to ask the county administrator about this before our meeting, and I forgot to, but I want to know if we had anything in place that rewarded any of our employees if they were able to identify, and not necessarily criminally fraud, but just waste of money. And as we see things that, well, let me give you an example. When I was working in the city of Long Beach, they had a program where if you could save the city money by finding some unique ideas that we didn't think of, and one guy came up with a plan to save $5 million in overtime with a scheduling plan that he came up with. $5 million. Just by putting together a computerized scheduling plan that helped us. Do we have anything like that in place yet here?
Not yet. We have recognition for the employees who are able to help out with things like that, but I can't say anything that would be on that $5 million. Are you saying he'll be rewarded for that? Or, we don't have anything that rewards anybody in particular for that one, but it is something definitely to look at.
Yeah, I think that's something, we should look at. Number one, to find ways to be more efficient, and the employees probably better than us know where the deficiencies are. But also, and my bigger concern is fraud. It's like, how do somebody in the system had to know something was going on. I had to at least think, okay, this is kind of fishy. And I'd like to encourage that to be reported, and I'd like to encourage more checks and balances in our own system so we don't So we're not on the front, and that could happen to anybody, but I don't want to see Clay County on the front page of the newspaper saying, hey, they've been missing $2 million and they don't know where it went. It's like, that could go a lot of good places. So anyways, as I see this more and more in the news, I just hope that we can, predictable is preventable. And if we can predict it's going to happen here, then let's prevent that. And then I guess that's really what I'm just throwing out some thoughts there.
Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Carpenter.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I agree. Incentive structures impact behavior. And so when you incentivize good behavior, you get more of it. When you incentivize bad behavior, you get more of it. And having some kind of policy in place for the county employees makes a lot of sense to me. I look forward to exploring that more. Most of just want to say, love my country. God bless the troops who are in harm's way. And all the innocents who are as well. And may they be looked after.
Thank you. I just want to express my apologies to Mr. Neth, who showed up in good faith thinking that he would be considered. That if someone has a problem, and I've said this before, if a commissioner has a problem with something, let me know. I have no problem putting it off. If a commissioner wants to have more time to consider an issue, I am completely open to that. However, I believe this is the second time he has been brought up for consideration, and it gets to the point where it becomes more of a slap in the face. It is difficult sometimes to get people to actually volunteer for these sorts of positions, especially when you hear the amount of raw time that the DDRB board puts in. It's hard enough to get people to be able to come in, have a little bit of public scrutiny, and then for the pleasure of no pay, being abused in this way. I certainly want to extend my apology to Mr. Neth. I think that while I do respect the thought that if a commissioner wants to put something off, then we should do it as in a tabling motion. However, it did not need to come to that. And at the end of the day, we do not owe our allegiance to each other as commissioners. We owe our allegiance to the people who voted us in, the citizens of this county. That and to the laws and the Constitution of this body. That is where our allegiance properly resides. Everything else comes after that as far as how we conduct ourselves in this chamber. With that, we are adjourned.